Okay, so this will be a quick video here on how to do the graphing for inside of Google Sheets. I've downloaded some of the data, some of the class data. I truncated it a little bit, but we've got the temperature data for liver, and we have the temperature data for the potato catalase. This is all raw data in columns B, C, D, E, and F, and I just simply calculated the mean. So this is the data I'm going to graph, is the mean liver data and the mean potato. And for Google Sheets, what I did here was I just highlighted the mean liver data. That's the numerical data I want to graph. I'm going to go to Insert, and I'm going to put in a chart. And so I click on Chart, and I can see I'm going to do a line graph. I think that would be a more appropriate graph here. And then what you want to do to get the line for the potato in is if you click here, you can select your data range, and one thing you can do is either add more data or add another. So we're looking for another line, so we're going to add another data range. So this box opens, and we're simply going to highlight the mean potato data there. We'll click on OK, and this will be what our graph looks like. So not a very pretty graph right now, but we can clearly see the two lines with the potato red line and the liver blue line. And then we can start to customize it. So we can do it here. We could title our lab, title our graph here based on our lab, which here we have the effect. This was temperature data on enzyme activity. So we can say enzyme or catalase activity as a function of temperature. For two samples, something to that, right? So that's a pretty long-winded, but that'll certainly be a good working title. And we could also say the effective temperature on catalase activity. So we can word that either way, but we've got the idea there. And again, if you want it centered, top, bottom, wherever you want it to be, you can do that right here. You can also change up your font and your colors depending on what you want. Usually we print in black and white, so it's usually a good idea to leave it in black and white when we're doing that, but we'll get the ideas there. If we scroll down here into customization, we can see our axes. So on our x-axis here, we have, this is temperature, and we did not have degrees Celsius, although we could have, right? We could say that we had 0 degrees Celsius when it was frozen. It was probably about 4 degrees Celsius actually. We also had room temperatures about 22 degrees Celsius, and we boiled it at 100 degrees Celsius. So we'll say Celsius just to make sure that we've got a unit there. And again, we can change up the fonts and stuff like that as we want. And then if we do our horizontal, our left vertical, that was the this is the enzyme activity, which again we measured as bubbling. But again, not yeah, we're okay with bubbling and stuff like that. And we had a range from 0 to 5 was our range. So we want to make sure that's our min and our max. For that, we've got our grid lines, we've got our scales, things like that. Okay. For this series, for the lines, we've got a thickness, we've got point size. We can put some points on it if you want, which is just that, and we can have point shapes. So one thing to differentiate between potato and liver is we could, specifically for liver, instead of circles, we could use triangles. And then for potato, for instance, we could use, instead of triangles, we could use diamonds, or we could have left them as squares or something like that. But that way, we'll be able to differentiate when we see it without the color. Okay. We don't have any error bars to add. We could do that if we wanted to. And one thing that sort of happened off to the right, I just could expand the screen just a little bit, is we're seeing the legend changed up as well as we were doing that. Okay. All right. So let's see. I'm going to click on Insert, pull our graph over. Just grab this, maybe. Okay. So this is our graph. We can right-click here. We can change the chart. You can change the hit type if you want to make another one. This is a good one to have here. So we should be fine with that. Our temperature enzyme activity is rated 0 through 5. We could put on, if we go to axes and we go to our horizontal axis labels, we could click there, and we could add in boiled, room and temperature. We should do some things like that. and we can also add some series and stuff when we're doing that. So this is a fine graph for what we had. Again, we could also click on the lines, and you can add the values so that they show up. All right, so if you have a lot of data, scatter plots, stuff like that, you may want to do that. But again, for this one, this should be sufficient for us the way that it is, and we can shut this off here. So that would be a perfectly good graph for this particular app. Okay, I hope that helps at least get you started. Some new things to play with, certainly a little bit different than Excel, but that's the basics of it.